give you a heads up. Like once it gets to like 15%, we'll be good.
All right, so we're starting, and we talked about a lot of stuff before we started the pod, but we actually didn't talk about which order we're going to go in. So I just say we go here.
We are all here to do what Falcons do. Look at that.
When in doubt, Falcons first, man. 27-24 victory. Cordero Patterson, 103-yard kickoff return. Welcome home, Justin Fields, and hope you get well soon, man. Wish you could have stayed here for the long haul.
Wish they could have just told him to go over to switch locker rooms, huh?
Yeah.
As Kyle Pitts went out for us too.
Right. It's like, oh man.
Yeah. But we won the game, which is most important, because if they had lost the game, or any thoughts of winning the division and going to the playoffs went out the window. So this was, for all intents and purposes, kind of a season-saving victory, maybe. Yeah. I guess it'll really depend on what they do next week, because it's kind of, they won't be eliminated from the divisional chase if they lose on Sunday, but at the same time, a win will go a very long way. If they can beat what some could say is maybe the hottest team in the NFL, possibly.
The Commanders?
Yeah. Think about it. They've won 5 of 6, and that one loss in that span was to the Vikings, who was a 2-loss team, and they were up 13 points on them in the fourth quarter.
Well, how do you feel about the Vikings?
They realistically should have won.
Yeah, but how do you feel about the Vikings as a team?
Obviously a playoff team, but they're one of those teams where, you know how people used to look at the Falcons – since we are on Falcons first, how people used to look at the Falcons early in Matt Ryan's career when it came to the playoffs. They're like, yeah, this is a team that's going to win games, but like once they get to the playoffs, like nobody's going to be on their side. Similar to like the Houston Texans, a team that would always win that division. They'd win 11 games. They'd always go 11-5, but like you just knew whoever they played in that first game, they were going to lose. And then even if they did win the first game, they were going to get blown out in the divisional round. So I think that's kind of the way everybody views probably this Vikings team. And Kirk Cousins is going to be in a big spot, considering how bad they got their ass kicked, which we'll get to the Thanksgiving Day slate. But he's going to be a big spot. But point being, still hottest team in the league probably. They're playing their best ball, and
we got to go up there.
Look out. But if we don't have this quarterback thing figured out, like if we can't get Lamar, Washington's probably going to try to keep Heineke. But he was somebody I would have been okay if they bought in this year. He's from here. He doesn't lose you games, but he's also not going to win you games. He is honestly he's like Alex Smith light, which he got to play with him too.
I would say stylistically, no.
He can scramble. He can run a little too.
Yeah, he can. I think that he'll sling it way more than Alex Smith ever would. But yeah,
he'll bad passes though.
Yeah, very bad.
Yeah, like bonehead, like you threw that in the double coverage and he is the best type of bridge quarterback I think that you could have if you have a lot of other pieces. You know, the way you showcase your team to a legitimate quarterback is a guy like Taylor Heineke. You go, okay, these guys are pretty scrappy. Oh, they're winning some games. Yeah, that's exactly what he is. He's scrappy.
And
you can tell the locker room loves him.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you can tell, like, they're behind him. They're like, man, we riding with you. And that's why Carson Wentz is benched.
Well.
Because that is not somebody anyone can get behind.
No, and he's not good.
So, it'll be interesting, but obviously – they're 6-5. We're 5-6. And I think, like I said, look, Seattle loses another game. We've got a tiebreaker against them. And they're currently sitting in the 7 hole. I don't think I think it will come down to them because San Francisco is going to win that division. But, so look, Seattle loses some games. I will still be alive for the wild card if we can win this game. But we got to win this one. We have to win it.
And that's what makes me happy. That's what makes me happy, man. I'm looking at my picks from last week that I've made before the season. Not too bad.
You've been spot on about the Eagles.
Fine.
I was spot on about Minnesota because I said that I didn't have Green Bay making it.
I was good.
Minnesota will win this division.
No, I was pretty good with San Fran, but for the wrong reasons. But we still are right.
Hey, and look out. The Lions have won 3 games in a row, and they're not completely out of the wild card. As crazy as that sounds, they're not completely out of that. Especially if they can get a win like against the Bills.
Well, this
now,
is
what do you think that's going to do for them if they win 4 in a row and they beat the Bills on Thanksgiving?
It's Dan Campbell another year, but this is why we love the NFL, and it's kind of seeping into college this year, and I think it'll continue to play out in college football more with the 12-team playoff. Is the season's not over until it's over, Yeah. Teams have a fighting chance. As Falcons fans, we're sitting here at 5-6. Like, okay, we're half a game out of the division right now. Cool. But even if we don't win the division and we keep winning games, if we get to 9-8,
we will be the wild card. Yeah.
And what more? And what more do you want? Just you want to get to the playoffs, especially for a team like us who's going to have money to spend this offseason.
It's going to be attractive. This is a city, obviously. I mean, hate to say it, but obviously hip hop capital of the world.
I don't hate to say it. We don't have New York listeners. Sorry, B. Yeah, nah. They come down to the city, the real city, Magic City, Atlanta, Peachtree, Bankhead. Actually, go to Buckhead and they act a fool. But anyways, this is the hip hop capital.
So you look at it that way. It's an attractive place to come. It's booming. I think Forbes or Money, one of them, which I think they're owned by the same people, but they put this as the number 1 place to live on their list. It was number 1. I mean, there's a lot to like about it. They're making my rent and stuff go up, but like, I like, obviously I love it here. Like, I mean, you love Atlanta too. Like, I mean, we love it. Like, it's home, but like, it's a special place. And so I just think that with what Arthur Smith is building, they go out. The quarterback is going to be so important, but we're going to be able to add so many other pieces too. And that's why I really hope that Baltimore fucks this thing up, man. I really do. I hope that they fuck it up so bad, because the more and more I look at it, at the beginning of the season, we talked about the Deshaun Watson thing, and obviously we weren't going to offer what the Browns offered. But like at the same time, can you imagine at 5-6, you got one more week. And Deshaun Watson's back. Can you imagine sitting where we're sitting right now if we had Deshaun Watson getting ready to come into the fold?
I think ecstatic would be an understatement. I'd be excited. I'd be like, holy shit. Yo, we're about to make a run. We are about to make a run. Then we're going to add something next year, and we're going to keep going. But unfortunately, what we have to look forward to is Marcus Mariota and dream about Lamar Jackson and
then realistically end up with
James Garoppolo.
Yeah, because that's exactly what's going to happen. If everything push comes to shove and it goes the way it goes, we're going to end up giving Jimmy G a 2-year or a 3-year $75 million contract, and maybe even more, maybe like 80 million. 3-year 80 with 48 of it guaranteed, and
big
like
signing bonus, so we can get out of
we can get out of it in year 3.
Really, we can take a little hit, but get out of it in year 2 and go after somebody else if we don't like what we see.
Or if we lose enough games, obviously, then we'll be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Which is not a terrible place to be, but I don't know if Terry Fontenot gets to draft him. Well, I don't know if he drafts anybody, but
drafting. But then, really, after you give James the money, you're going to still be able to upgrade on defense at several positions. I have to imagine they're going to get all – maybe they don't make a splashy, we've got the highest paid outside linebacker type signing, but, like, I see us getting, like, all the top mid-level guys, like literally all the top guys.
The second week guys.
All the top dudes, but I imagine us getting literally every single last one of them. I think that we saw maybe an O-lineman. Even though the O-line has been good, they're just bad in pass protection. But the thought was that Marcus Mariota would help hide kind of those deficiencies, because that was kind of Matt Ryan's issue, right? He can't run the ball. He's a statue. Mariota's still getting lit up, and he can run. So, and they started the season off well pass protecting. I thought that it was fair. It was good enough to win games. Now, like in the Carolina game, for instance, now granted, Marcus just looked terrible anyways. Fuck how the line. But there are just certain games where you're just like, man, this guy is getting hit almost every other play. Like,
the field conditions weren't great in that game either, and I cannot find my spot that I want to sit here. I'm sorry, dude. I'm all over the place, but I can't get the spot right.
That's how I am when I sleep. It's like you have to get that right groove where your body is like set comfortable. But
hey, so let's talk a little bit of week 11. We watched the Tennessee Green Bay debacle. I don't really have much on that. Cleveland Buffalo. Buffalo won the game. Is Jeff Saturday turning into Jeff Sunday? Is Jeff Saturday really showing that, hey, every coach does not have to be an X and O guy, a tactician. You just got to know the game, be a leader of men, and be a great CEO, a great delegator? Or is this just some pie in the sky? Is this just a series of fortunate coincidences, and Jeff Saturday is going to turn back into commentator in 2 weeks?
If we were the four-letter network, I guess we would call this game something or nothing, right? I think it's something. I think it is something. I think that ultimately him obviously being a former player and playing the position he played is helping him tremendously. But he's certainly where they were lacking most, to where Jonathan Taylor and Matt Ryan had why they were looking not as successful, was the O-line. Ultimately, the offensive line has played better. And because the offensive line has played better, you're able to run the ball more, and then you're able to set up play action or give Matt Ryan more time to just get something off. And that's why Matt hasn't turned the ball over yet. He hasn't thrown an interception in the 2 games that he's been back. And I don't believe he's lost a fumble. So, like, that was a big part of it. But, Frank Reich was trying to push blame elsewhere because he knew he was dead man walking to begin with before the season started. He was dead man walking because anything short of them winning the division, especially with the thought that Tennessee probably takes a step back to a degree. I mean, they drafted a quarterback. So, like, that there was a
quarterback, or they draft an athlete who can throw the ball 80 yards.
They drafted a person that they thought had the potential to take over that starting job eventually. I'm not saying he's the quarterback of the future, just like Desmond Ridder. We don't even know him, but at least we've got to see Malik Willis play, right? Like, now, albeit because of injury, but like we still have got to see him play. And so,
he took the field.
I think that Jeff Saturday, I think it's something, and we need. It's too short of a sample size. We need to see just how the rest of the season plays out. But I would say through the first 2 games, he gets a B+ in my book.
And I think it's something too, because again, we talked about it on here multiple times. Part of me didn't like it because he did skip the line, and you just see other guys who are deserving of an opportunity to be a coach. But at the same time, it's not about who deserves it, who put in the work, right? It's who gets picked to do the job and how do they do it. And
it's an interim job. I mean, it'd be one thing if this was the off season and they hired him and gave him like a 5-year deal or 4-year deal, but like it's an interim job. I mean, they literally at this. Look, the shit's a dumpster fire, and he is somebody close to the organization, right? I mean, I know he wasn't coaching but he's close to the organization. The hire makes sense. I don't know. They couldn't hire anyone else on the offensive side because of how bad the offense had been on all three phases: passing, running, blocking. They couldn't hire anyone offensively, and that was the issue. You can't even really hire a defensive coach because the offense sucks so bad. So you wanted somebody with an offensive background, and they weren't going to hire, unlike kind of like what the Nets were trying to do with Ime Udoka, right, where you just kind of hire somebody off the street to literally coach the team. You're halfway through the season. They were going to have to either do somebody in-house or it would have to have been something like kind of what Jim Irsay did. And it doesn't excuse the hiring of somebody with no like pro or college coaching experience, but I don't think it's as bad a move as everybody thinks. And it's not an overreaction to just these two games. I just think that it's an interim tag, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Because either they were going to lose out, right, to where they get ultimately want, which is to be able to draft a quarterback, or they win some games. And let me see where they're at in the standings. If they have any like pulse for a playoff spot, probably not actually.
And while you're looking, they're like 4-6-1.
Yeah, they really needed to win that game. If they had won that game, if they had beaten the Eagles, they'd be right in the thick of it. I mean, they would only be one game out of the 7th seed. So, I mean, they're 2 games out of it right now, but, you know, that's also because they haven't had a bye while every other team ahead of them, because look, Kansas City, Miami, Tennessee, Baltimore, Buffalo, they're all going to the playoffs. Those are 5 slots that are locked in.
Well, you didn't say the Chargers.
They're not in right now. New England, Cincinnati are the 6 and 7, and then the Jets are 6 and 4 at the 8. The Chargers are 5 and 5 at the 9, and then the Colts are 4 and 6. The Colts let me see what their schedule's like. They legitimately would have to win, could only really afford to lose probably one more game to have a chance. And they kind of got a murderer's row schedule. They play the Steelers on Monday night this week. Then they're at Dallas on what appears to be
Thursday.
Is it? Yeah, I guess so.
Oh.
What appears to be a Thursday. Then they're at Minnesota. Then they play the Chargers. And then they're at the Giants. And then they got the Texans. They're not going to the playoffs. If they had beaten the Eagles, they really would have had a chance. But no chance. They probably had – I mean –
they're cooked.
They got to definitely beat the Steelers.
They're cooked. They're cooked.
Yeah.
They're cooked. Like,
it's just too tough of a schedule.
They're not the Falcons, so there's no point in us trying to rationalize them get to the playoffs.
I just want to see Matt Ryan do well, man.
All right, so let's go to the next game I got here on the slate from yesterday or from Sunday. We got Jets in New England, and I think we should spend a little bit of time on this game. For one, it gave us so many stories, right? Because you have the overachieving Jets who have just benched their second-year quarterback, Zach Wilson. And if you think about the Jets and what this organization has been, at the beginning of the year, if you said, hey, man, Jets going to be 6 and 4 after week 11, and they're going to bench Zach Wilson.
I'd say that Joe Flacco must have been – because the assumption would be if he got benched, that he got benched before this mark. So the thought would have been, man, Joe Flacco must have found the fountain of youth or something.
But then you find out Flacco –
Or they have the best defense in the NFL, one or the other.
And then you hear, oh, well, Flacco's thrown 5 touchdowns and Zach Wilson's thrown 4. Flacco hasn't played since week 3. How are they 6 and 4? Zach Wilson? Oh, yeah, you're a goner. Let me see if I can find this post because, you know, Zach Wilson's really been catching flack for his post-game comments. In a game where their defense only gave up 3 points, they lost on a walk-off punt return. Fire the special teams coach. We're going to talk about special teams at some point in this conversation.
So let's look at how they got there.
Hold on. Let me finish this piece real quick. Wilson's asked if he felt responsible, if he felt like he let the defense down, and he said no. But apparently, he did also said today he wasn't surprised that he got benched. He said, "I haven't been doing my job." I hope that means on the field, because if you haven't been doing your job off the field, it's definitely showing, dude. Like, your job is learn how to be an NFL football player. And I get it, you're in New York, but you make a lot of money. You can have some company come up to see you where you are, and you can still have plenty of time to study and get your rocks off.
Oh, and as a quarterback, you know, it doesn't mean you have to be the leader, but you are the de facto leader of the team. I mean, you're the quarterback. So that's just, you know, that comes with the territory. It's
how much do you really believe that when it's like a young guy who's 23, 24, super immature, and then you got a veteran-laden defense? How do you really think they listen to what the hell he has to say?
I felt like Matt Ryan. I mean, I hate to bring Matt Ryan up, but I'm just saying, I felt like Matt Ryan became the leader of the Falcons his rookie year. I really do. I think that he had been the leader ever since. Like, I think that now look, they had D-Block, right? You had Spoon, you had these guys on the team that were leaders, but I do feel like Matt was ultimately a leader as well. You know, that's all I'm saying. I think that Matt was a leader too. Like, but I'm just saying, a young guy that they got behind, like similar to Taylor Heineke. I mean, what year is Taylor Heineke in? Probably year 4 or 5.
I feel
like they're behind him though. But like, even if you're like Chase Young is a young guy, right? But he seems like one of the leaders, right? Even when he's not playing, he looks like on the side.
Chase Young is one of the most overrated, overhyped football players of the last 10 years.
Well, look, it's still early. But, I mean, he had a great rookie year. He had 10-plus sacks. But
no, it's 7.5.
That's still pretty fucking good for a rookie. So he hadn't had a double-digit sack here yet.
No.
All right. Well, he just reminds me of Jadeveon Clowney a lot. But, like, because Jadeveon Clowney, you can argue Jadeveon Clowney was like the same dude. He
is the most overhyped player of the last 10 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're both pass rushers. Like, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can look at it. But let's look at how the Jets did get to this 6-4 that we're talking about. I mean, they lost to Baltimore week 1. They won by 1 in Cleveland. They got blown out by the Bengals. Then they beat the Steelers by 4, who's not a good football team. They got to play the Dolphins with their third-string quarterback because Teddy got hurt in that game too, I remember, because I had money on it. And so they beat them. Then the shocker was that they went to Lambeau. That's when it was like, oh, when they went to Lambeau Field and won, that was kind of the shocker. And that's when we knew the Packers weren't good. They played Denver. I mean, Denver scored 9 points. So, yeah, they were going to win that football game. They lost to New England by 5. They beat the Bills in another, like a shocker, 2 different shocking victories. Then they just lost to New England, and that's how you get to 6-4. So, if you look at the wins, you got 2 legitimate wins that – you know,
that Packers win is legitimate. The Packers are not a good football team.
No, I was talking about, and the Browns aren't either, but they won the game against the Browns. That's not that isn't a good football team. They're not good. They're talent. They have talent, but they're not good. That defense is not good. And so you beat a rookie quarterback in Kenny Pickett, a third stringer in Miami, Russell Wilson in a Denver uniform.
Terrible.
And you beat Josh Allen and you beat Aaron Rodgers and Jacoby Brissett. So
and let's throw in Breece Hall. Breece Hall was going crazy. Probably was going to be offensive rookie of the year. Yep. But he tore his ACL.
But gosh, when did he tear that? 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Was that against Buffalo or was it against New England?
I don't know. Now, Zach Wilson went crazy against New England, like 355 or something like that.
Lost by 5, and then he laid an egg this past Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, two second-half yards. And so I've listened to some commentary on the end of the game, right? And I listened to a podcast this morning that talked about, you know, the division between offense, defense, and special teams. And the coaches that value it and how much they value it. And the guy says it's like 45-10, maybe 40-20. But I also look at the way the Patriots play football, and I listen to Mike Lombardi, who worked with Belichick for many years. And he talked about it being a full third part of the game that deserves to be treated as a third, because the special teams is kind of like working abs when you're working out, right? You want to tie your upper body to your lower body, and sometimes we will ignore the one that we don't like to do, and abs is an easy thing to ignore. But if you want to be a fully fit human being, you got to have good abs. And I think if you want to be a top end professional football team, you have to work special teams, but you also have to game plan your special teams into your offensive and defensive game plans, because special teams has such an important impact on field position and should impact the decisions that you make. Because if you're playing good special teams, all right, we got a good punter, we'll kick it deep, we'll punt it back there. We got a good returner. Let's get it. Oh, they got a good returner, or they got a good offense. You know what? We're gonna kick the special teams off the field today because we want to be as aggressive as possible. And I think special teams get so ignored now in football because it's not glamorous. You're not hiring a special teams coordinator to run.
And the rules are set up to have less and less of those plays. So typically, if it's a punt, right, it's fair catch, or if it's a kickoff, it's touchback. So it's like they've set it up to where it's not as big a play, but when you do get those opportunities, it dictates field position. It
won the game for us Sunday.
Right, won the game for us and the Patriots on Sunday. So two different teams that benefited from a special teams play that made all the difference. This because you were at the game just like I was on Sunday. The life came out of the building as soon as Cordero fumbled the ball, and then the Bears went down and scored a touchdown. And then for him to get to be, especially it being him, and then it being a special moment of breaking an NFL record, that completely turned around, because there were a lot of Bears fans in there. I was a little surprised just at how many Bears fans were there.
Well, you shouldn't be, because there's so many people from Chicago who are in the city now. Surprised they didn't show on the big screen.
I just got a text message from Grady Hospital.
They tell you to vote for Senator Raphael Warnock?
No. They said you have a new bill from Grady Health System.
Well, you better go pay up there, buddy.
Fuck out of here. They won't see it. But and I do appreciate those people. I was in a lot of pain for that surgery. But I don't have it. I don't have it. So nonetheless, sorry about that. It was just, I just saw it. I was like, But yeah, special teams at the end of the day is very important. And then to have a good punter, we saw it multiple times in the 49ers Cardinals game as well, to where the punter was getting that thing to where the Cardinals, I mean, they were having to start from like the 5 on it. Like I remember they were, because one time the guy barely, and it was raining, so that probably kind of fucked it up. But like one time the guy had just missed it. It was a touchback. Then they got him the very next time. It was on the 2. A good punter, man. Obviously, kicking game is very important. We talk about missed extra points, field goal kicker that you can. Well, think about what's his face in Dallas. Well, think about what's his face in Dallas, where they called the kick back. It was a field goal before the half. It was a 60-yarder, if you remember, because we were like, man, Bill Mayer's got like a fucking leg on him. He nailed it, and then they called it back because they were reviewing like a CeeDee Lamb catch. CeeDee did catch it, but the kick didn't count, so he had to kick it again, and then he still made it. And it's like, it's game changing.
Well, think about this. We are, 2 Younghoe Koo field goals away from being 6 and 5 instead of 5 and 6. No, 7 and 4.
Yeah, because you got the Saints game where it got blocked. And then what's the other one?
Chargers game.
Yes, exactly. And so, and let's not forget, I mean, I know this sounds a little crazy, but even that Panthers game, he missed 2 extra points. It ended up being a 7-point game with us having the ball. I don't know how that changes the outcome of the game, in a sense of how the offense feels. But if you go in knowing if we just put up 6, we win, it changes a little bit. 7, you just ties it. But if you know that you don't even need 7 and you can win the game, but you got to still get 6. Like, I don't know. It could change the complexion of a game. And not to mention, too, in certain cases, I mean, well, look, we saw how relevant special teams was in the Panthers win at home. Obviously, it benefited us on that end, but they missed an extra point and a field goal. 2 kicks that kick Eddie Pinheiro should have made. I mean,
and no discipline from their receiver.
None.
Hey, speaking of the Carolina Panthers, there's not really much terribly interesting in this slate from last week. I mean, Dallas dog walked Minnesota. Minnesota is the first 2-loss team this deep into the season with a negative point differential. Pretender. The Chargers charged on against Kansas City, and they did exactly what we expected them to do. Lose a close game, and they're going to miss the playoffs, and Brandon Staley's going to be missing his job. I don't care about
Yeah, look. It is the Cowboys are so pleased with how they're playing, but they're just like, oh man. It'll be the equivalent to, do you remember Marty Schottenheimer?
Yeah. I remember
Marty Schottenheimer went 14-2 in San Diego, and they fired him because they lost to the Patriots in the divisional playoff round. It's the same thing in Dallas, and I'm telling you, because that's why Jerry Jones came out and said that. But to get back to even Brandon Staley, my point in even bringing it up is just that Sean Payton is sitting there. He's going to have his pick of whether or not he wants to go there or there. And I think that if Mike McDaniels did what he did, if the Dolphins were 5-6, he would be also another candidate to where, because obviously the rumor came out that the Dolphins wanted to hire Sean Payton and bring in Tom Brady. So I think that it's a similar thing.
Sean Payton's living in LA for a reason right now.
But don't you think that if let's say this, Chargers don't make the playoffs, they fire him on Black Monday. He gets fired, and then 2 weeks later, the Cowboys lose in the divisional round to Philly. Let's say Philly, the divisional round. Because wild card week, they're going to be the 5 seed. So they're going to play, or they're going to be either that or Philly falls off, one or the other. But let's just hypothetically say they're going to be the 5. They're going to be the top road wild card team. They're going to play either us or Tampa. They're going to beat us or Tampa. They beat them, and then, or hell, let's say that they play Tampa and they lose. He's fired. We know that Mike McCarthy's fired if they lose that game. But if he wins and then they go to Philly or Minnesota and lose, or San Francisco. Yeah, you know what? Probably San Francisco. They go to San Francisco and lose, and they lose, 30-21. He's going to get fired. Do you think that Sean Payton takes the Chargers job or the Cowboys job?
It depends. He might get offered the Denver job too.
They probably will offer him the job, but he's not going to want to let Russ cook more than – I mean, I think that Russ is not done. I do think that Hackett is a bigger issue than people want to believe. I don't think that they're scheming it right because there's just no way. Because it's no way. You're talking about Russell Wilson just had his first losing season last year. And then even then, what did they go? 7-10, 8-9? So, I don't know if Russ is the issue. The 100% of the issue.
I would say he's 100%, but
I think Devontae Williams changes the outlook of their season if he doesn't get hurt. I think because he is a good running back.
I'm well aware.
And they just cut the guy that was behind him. So they're starting a guy that was in street clothes when they took the field in Seattle week 1. So that's all I'm saying is I don't want to just blame Russ too much. I don't think that Russ is 100% the issue of what's wrong with that team.
I wouldn't say 100, but I'd say he's
I don't think he's 50. I give him about 30%.
I think he's more than 50, and the reason why I think he's more than 50 because I think it's his responsibility as the veteran
so
quarterback.
Hackett?
Huh?
What's Hackett's? What do you give Hackett then if it's more than 50 for us?
Somewhere around 35, and then I give the GM 15 for hiring Hackett.
You got to switch.
But here's why. Here's why. Hackett's he's a brand new head coach who just left Aaron Rodgers and was not a play caller. My expectations for him are very low. My expectations, like if I'm George Payton running that team, I'm not hiring Nate Hackett. I'm not hiring an OC who was pretty much Aaron Rodgers' quarterback coach, but didn't call plays. I'm not hiring that guy. So my expectations of him are very low. And if I'm going to give Russ all of this money without him playing for a season, and we gave up all these assets to get him, hey Russ, I need you, the seasoned vet, to help coach my coach up.
But he's a new team. I don't know what they do, like that relationship, right? But like at the same time, it's a new team.
Not working.
Like everybody's new to him too, just like it is him. But the coach, they hired the coach before Russ got there. So like, I don't know. He knew his personnel a little bit better than Russ has because Russ got there after him. And so I just look at it this way. I think that Hackett is more to blame, and we got to see that early in the season when the decision to punt, like he wasted 50 seconds. Think about it. Peyton Manning was sitting there on the Manning cast like timeout. This guy let it wind down to where all they could do was kick a fucking field goal. And it's just like, you bonehead. But
Hackett's terrible. Hackett is terrible.
Now, look, Russ is not helping him. Like, I'm with you on that. Russ is not helping him. But at the same time, bro, there's just like, and we've got to see a bunch of bad in-game decisions because we're Falcons fans, and Dan Quinn used to be our coach. And I've seen bad time management and just like, man, is that really the decision we're going with here? Let's also blame Melvin Gordon, who they finally cut. Javonte Williams fumbled too on that goal line, but even in that, I'm just looking back at the first game, they fumbled twice on like the 2 or 1 yard line.
I think Melvin Gordon has like 5 fumbles.
Those are points. But just him to say, you know what, we're going to kick a 62-yard field goal. And I know Russ defended it. Here's the thing. Russ is the ultimate teammate, certainly from a media perspective. He's the ultimate teammate. So he's going to say all the right things. But
you about to make me act like I work at the 4-letter network and just get up and walk off set right now. You call Russell Wilson
for Instagram reel?
Like you're calling Russell Wilson the ultimate teammate.
From a media perspective, absolutely.
I don't even think he's from a media perspective. I think he's the ultimate quarterback talk liar, brand guy, me guy. Oh, I stayed up the whole flight. I don't get jet lag. I was doing high knees.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if he really did that shit. Would you actually be surprised if he did that?
I wouldn't be surprised if he did it, but the fact that he did it makes him a bad teammate. Hey, I'm asleep. Shut up. Sit down. Let's ride. Russ is talking about let's ride, and it's going to be that new roller coaster that I think Six Flags is trying to do where the roller coaster like jumps off of the track totally and lands back on another track. That's the ride that Russ want motherfuckers to go on. You think I'm getting on that?
Hell no.
Hell no. Let's ride. The only person with the last name Wilson needs to be riding is his wife. Love that music video.
She looks so much better today than she did when her music was like great.
Yeah, but then she got more money, and then she got Russ money, so she get to go to like Dr. Miami.
She is stunning.
A banger.
Let me tell you, he's a winner.
Yeah, when he gets home.
Exactly.
But in that facility, loser.
Well, on the field right now, yeah, he's a loser. But like, he's a winner. That brother ain't. Get it. Look, I'm one of the biggest advocates of the Seahawks defense. Won him that Super Bowl, but like, he still is a Super Bowl champ. Like people forget Russ does. He's one of the few guys in the league that actually has one too. And so I just don't blame him 100%. I get it. To whom much is given, much is, required. I get that. I understand that aspect of it, but I don't look at Russ that way. But Either way, man, let's get back into a little bit more.
Catch me in the mall. You know I bought out.
You ever been in a house party when this came on?
Boink talks about this video so much to where, I wanted to ask Boink, what were you doing when you first saw it?
You know what he was doing. He put his hand in his pants and grabbed the loop.
Yeah. It's a great video. Plus Sierra, how would you, I tell you what would your thoughts be? This is super duper hypothetical. If the Falcons were able to get Russell Wilson, hear me out. And all we had to do was trade Denver a second and a conditional, 2 seconds and a conditional fifth that could convert to another second, depending on how well he plays. Would you like that? If we can't get Lamar and we're drafting 18th. Tell me you wouldn't accept that. I would. And obviously Sierra would get to be back home, right?
Don't know if that's great. If I am Rich McKay, calling it into the league right now. If I am Adam Lee, looking at that, I say, I'm gonna need you to attach like something else to it, man. I'm gonna need a little bit more juice.
You need to throw us a backup linebacker.
Yeah, I need something off that defense because that unit you got over there in Denver is good. I'm not taking your trash.
The money, it's the money thing. It's more of a money thing than it is compensation. It's money. It's.
I'm not taking this Russell. I'm not taking
$2 million
to stay with Russell. I'm not taking this Russell Westbrook contract and not getting nothing out of it.
But you would be okay with Russ being the quarterback because obviously, even as bad as they've been, he would be an upgrade. Right,
I'd have to.
He's certainly an upgrade. But
I'd have to accept it and hope that he could outplay Marcus Mariota, even though some numbers would tell you that he has not this year.
Well, because if the line don't block, it won't matter because Russ don't run, right? So, like,
he's
I don't think that. But think about Russ's arm isn't cooked. It's not like what people thought about Matt Ryan's arm. It's not.
No,
cooked.
he just doesn't put the ball where it's supposed to be when it's supposed to be there.
So is he inaccurate?
Per game, if they average 18 points per game,
but you get a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
It'd be the second best team in the league right now. So
let me see real quick. Yeah, I know. Literally, somebody had said that if they had averaged 20 points, if they scored 20 points in every game, they would be like 9-1.
Drew Lock scores more points per game than he does.
Let me see real quick. I just want to look at Russ's stats. I'm curious as to what his completion percentage is. And he probably checks down a little bit. That's actually pretty bad. Wow. For him, it's bad. 59.5%. That's Cam Newton type shit.
That's trash.
That's Cam Newton numbers.
Hey, how many rushing yards does he have? 4?
Hold on. Rushing.
Probably has about 7.
He has 129. He's
Okay.
averaging 4 yards a carry. He's got 1 touchdown. And that's 14 a game. So, not ideal. I mean, you want your quarterback probably in this day and age to be able to get you – you don't have to average 30, but about 30.
If you're
average,
if you are 59% completion percentage, I'm gonna need
to be averaging 50.
Like you gotta be a factor in the rushing game. You got to.
He set his touchdown to interception ratio is 7-5. I mean, he's gonna definitely post career lows for sure this year. But Russ still threw for like 30 touchdowns last year. I mean, so
can I ask you a 4-letter network question?
I can give you a 4-letter network answer. Go ahead.
Matthew Stafford or Russell Wilson moving forward?
Russell Wilson. I think Matt Stafford's cooked. I actually think he's cooked. He looks as bad as Matt Ryan did earlier this year. So, and he's younger than Matt. So, like, give me Russ. I think that there's hope for Russ. I think it's the coach. That's what I think. I think put it this way. If Nate Hackett is not the coach and they have an adequate head coach, I bet they're at 500. I bet they're 5-5. I bet they win at least 2 of those games that they lost.
Okay, I got another one for you. Will the Rams regret making the Matthew Stafford trade?
Absolutely. No, they got the Super Bowl out of it. It's just like the Lakers AD thing. I mean, they won. So, no, they won't regret the trade. They're going to regret the contract that they just gave him after winning it because obviously they kind of had to pay him because of what they saw. But at the same time, Matt Stafford is cooked. You know why? Because Sean McVay is going to resign after this year because there was already rumblings that he was going to fucking do that anyways before the year started. And maybe he saw something that we did. But he's going to get into TV, and then he's going to wait to get the job that he wants to.
Have I gone on a McVay rant about this whole quitting and coming back thing and the rumors?
I bet Sean McVay and Tom Brady become the top people at Fox. I bet money that that's exactly who they get to do it. If he resigns and wants to do TV, I bet because he can't get ESPN now, and he's not getting CBS either unless Jim Nantz is done after this year, which wouldn't make sense because he would be more of a color guy. But he could do play-by-play potentially.
They could put him in a 3-man booth for their first year to like learn the job. But let me tell you something about Sean McVay.
Burkhardt, McVay, Brady.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about Sean McVay.
Or he'll go to Amazon.
He's the epitome of millennial coach. He doesn't want to do the rebuild, right?
But he doesn't have to do the rebuild.
Hold on, but this is his first down season. Like, hey, man.
Why fuck up your record? He's got a lot to blame on this year now. Now that Cup's down, there's definitely some games that they're going to lose. Aaron Donald might retire. Nah, I don't know.
If you like coaching ball, you coach ball. I listened to Chris Long, and I'm going to take this from Chris Long. Hey, Chris Long, I'm taking this. I know you won't hear it, but I'm taking it. Why don't you just trade Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey at the end of the year?
And rebuild and get back the picks that you gave up to get Von Miller and Odell Beckham and Matt Stafford.
Yeah, like you can get
you can get a king's ransom for Aaron Donald,
and you can get good compensation for Jalen Ramsey, and hopefully Matthew Stafford retires, and Cooper Kupp has to be miserable for 2 years. No, Matthew Stafford, he's about his dollar. Everybody talks about how
absolutely take. I'm sorry, go ahead.
People talk about Stafford and he's a tough son bitch, all this stuff. Stafford's made over $300 million in his career, not counting money, but he ain't taking no discounts for nobody.
Look at this. This shoulder, this elbow, this head, because he's got concussion. This guy is damaged goods now. And so, and it shows, bro. He literally, and I know that McVay, there's no way McVay is that bad of a play caller because we've seen that he made Jared Goff a Pro Bowl quarterback. So I don't think it's McVay either. I think he's done. He's done. See, that's the difference between when you said Stafford or Russ. I think Russ, it is coaching. That's what I think. But because we already saw what Stafford did last year. And granted, no Odell, I get it, but they signed Allen Robinson, who another damaged good. Got to sit on him for a year or two because you're not getting rid of that contract.
Yeah, that boy's bad.
Allen Robinson's going to be just like Kenny Golladay is right now with the Giants, bro. That's who he is at this point. They're the same people to me. And Allen Robinson a little bit more accomplished than Golladay because Allen Robinson was good with the Jaguars and the Bears. So and he was never really great, but he was good. He was solid.
Got another question for you.
Is it a 4-letter network question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Who has the worst contract? Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson?
Kyler Murray. Wow. Because you paid for somebody that hasn't done anything. like Russell Wilson has won a fucking Super Bowl and before last year never had a losing season as a quarterback. So and he's a pleasure to be around based on the media. He seems like he's actually a pleasure to be around.
I think the media likes Russ, not football players.
Well, then fine.
I don't think anybody likes Kyler Murray.
Doesn't look like he's liked very much by anyone either.
Oh, no, I don't think anyone likes Kyler Murray.
So Kyler Murray seems like a very much so entitled person because he's like, fuck this, I'll go play baseball type shit. Like, and so I don't like, and he was talking about he scrubbed his IG. Like Russ didn't do all this. They made it seem like Russ was just super passive aggressive to Pete Carroll.
Now Russ did. I think he did scrub that. I think he scrubbed the IG, or he put something up with like his high school. He did something with his high school. It wasn't Go Hawks and it wasn't Let's Ride. He did something to start dropping the tea leaves. I mean, hell, his agent came out and said, "Hey, if Russ requested a trade, here's the 4 teams he'd request a trade to."
What's Kyler Murray done? Even last year, of them making the playoffs for the first time, and they won that division. No, the Rams did.
Yeah, Rams won it.
But they were the 5, and they started like 8-0, 9-0. They had the best record in the NFL to start. Them, not Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was the year before. But like,
yeah, that's exactly.
And then Colt McCoy won like 4 games for them. Like so, to me, it's Kyler Murray because he's somebody that's injured too. Like Russ doesn't get injured like that. So like, there's durability issues to begin with. He's 5'10". I mean, I guess Russ is too, but like, give me Russ. I'll take Russ's contract on than Kyler.
I agree with you, but let me tell you what. If I'm Michael Bidwell, when Kyler Murray scrubbed his stuff from the Instagram and he came in there demanding his little contract, I would have laughed him.
His ass to Houston so quickly.
Yeah, I would have laughed him, Steve Keim, and Cliff Kingsbury out of my office. Because guess who else got read up? And I think Cliff is out of there. He's
gone. He's dead man walking.
Hey, let's just go down the line of coaches that we think are fired, and then the team, the quarterbacks who are gonna be on different teams next year. So I'm gonna read. I got each team. I got almost all the teams right here. I'll ask them. Tennessee, coach or quarterback gone next year?
Maybe neither. I mean, Vrabel's definitely not gone, but Tannehill could be gone. He played well in Green Bay the other day, but like, I don't think either. If I had to vote right as of today, because I don't think that they're going to hand the keys to. I do think that there will be an open competition where the coach will say it is a competition, but Tannehill is our star going into it.
Okay, Green Bay, coach or quarterback gone next year?
Neither.
You don't think a team tries to make a move for Aaron, a team that's a quarterback away?
Who? I mean,
Jets, Patriots, Falcons.
I think the Patriots stay where they're at. Maybe the Jets, because they've already done business before. That's how Brett Favre left, right? He got traded to the Jets. I mean, so maybe the Jets. Maybe. Go ahead.
So Chicago?
I think he would have to force himself out. I don't think that they're going to want to trade him. I think that Aaron would say, trade me. Like, it would have to be like that.
I think it'll be mutual. I think that I don't think the front office would miss him.
They're going to have to, but it'll be like the KD thing. I mean, they'd have to get the compensation, and I don't know. We'll see.
Chicago.
They're both there.
Atlanta.
Mariota will be gone. I don't know who's going to replace him, but Mariota's gone.
Cleveland, that's a pass. They're both there.
Stefanski could be gone.
I doubt it. I feel like he gets 1 year with
Deshaun. 1 more year. Yeah, he gets a year with Deshaun.
He bought time with the playoff win. Buffalo, that's easy.
They put
Philly. What does Jalen's contract look like though? Does he get 40?
A mil more a year than Russ.
Okay. Indy.
They're going to have to do it.
Indy.
Matt will be gone. That
contract will be hard.
Well, here's the thing. All of Matt's they're going to be able to get out of the Matt thing as long as he's not hurt. Because this was the last year of like where it hurts you. I think Matt's going to be gone. If I had to lean, I think Irsay's going to keep Saturday there and give him a full year.
The Jets.
Zach Wilson definitely gone.
Oh yeah, he's out of there. His cap hits 18 mil next year.
Yeah.
New England.
I think they're both there, and I think that it's an open competition with Mac. If Mac doesn't like play well, to where him and Zappy battle it.
And Jimmy James Garoppolo might get opportunity to.
There's an outside chance of that. Yeah.
Rams.
McVay resigns, and Les has got to figure out he can't get off the contract. I mean, he's going to have to hope either Matt snaps. I think that McVay's gone, or either that or he retires.
If he can get Stafford to retire and the owner can just funnel him the money elsewhere in a different way, New Orleans.
Clean house.
Detroit.
Goff gone. Campbell stays.
I'll push back and say Goff on his last year handing off the franchise to a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud. With the Rams pick. With the Rams pick. Not their pick, with the Rams pick.
Okay, I got you, yeah.
The New York Football Giants.
That's going to be so interesting. Let me see.
Penny's out of here.
That's going to be interesting. I mean, I have to think that Daniel Jones is gone because they're gonna be really in the James Garoppolo sweepstakes more than anyone.
Carolina.
Well, obviously, coach is gone. I don't think that Wilkes stays. Well, we know that. Yeah, house cleaned.
You don't think Sam Darnold gets one more shot?
Man, let me tell you, then they gonna move out of that house. It's gonna be clean like that.
Baltimore. Tell me what you think, not what you want.
I think that they're gonna have to ante up and make him the highest paid player in the league.
Washington. Riverboat Ron is saving his job right now.
He's kind of saving his fucking job.
I'm Bezos. I still can him.
Yeah, you know what? I think that that's what it's gonna come down to. If the team is ultimately sold, I believe that they clean house.
Houston.
House cleaned.
You think 3 coaches 3 years?
I think Josh McCown.
No, 4 coaches 4 years.
I think that Josh McCown is who they wanted to be the fucking coach, and that's who they're going to hire because that's who they wanted to hire, and they just got pushback. I think that they absolutely will hire him. The Texans have looked terrible, so I do think that Lovey gets fired after 1 year, and I do believe that Josh McCown gets a 5-year deal, and he will have. It doesn't matter how bad they are next year. I think that that's who's going to be their coach, and then they draft whoever they draft.
The Raiders.
I'll give you a surprise on this one. I actually think that McDaniels does stay, and I think that Carr is the one that they shop.
I think McDaniels stays because they still got to pay John Gruden, and they're cash poor, and they're not going to be paying 3 coaches at the same time. And
that's an active job regardless because it's the Raiders and it's in Las Vegas. So
and don't be shocked if you're rooting for Derek Carr next year. Denver.
Hackett's gone.
Dallas.
Depends on what they do in the playoffs. I feel like they really are a Super Bowl contender, like a legitimately one of the 5 best teams in the league. And I think that Jerry Jones accepts nothing less than top 5 finish. So if they don't lose a game to, and it can't be Philly either. If they don't lose a game to the 49ers in similar fashion that the Bills lost to the Chiefs, I think McCarthy's fired. And I think that they get Sean Payton before
Minnesota.
he can go to the Chargers. Philly?
Minnesota.
Stay put. Both.
Okay, we're skipping Kansas City because we know the answer to that. Chargers.
Staley's gone. If they don't make the playoffs, he's gone.
I think Cincinnati. We're good here, and I think Pittsburgh.
I think Zach Taylor gets 1 more year.
I think everyone's safe in Pittsburgh next year.
I'm not saying they'd fire Mike T. I just think that there's going to be enough good jobs available this offseason where they would be willing to open negotiation for somebody that would want him. Like, for instance, if the Chargers miss out on the Sean Payton sweepstakes, I could easily see them saying, hey, we got a first in 2025 for Tomlin.
I can see Mike Tomlin going down to Dallas and keeping that same staff. That's the type of splash that Jerry Jones would like. I'm just not confident that Jerry Jones would hire a black head coach.
I just think he wants Sean Payton. I just think he wants Sean. I think that that's who he wants.
I do as well, but if Sean Payton chose the Chargers.
But you know what? Carolina would be a team to look out for. I think that Tepper would absolutely love to get.
Well, Tepper came from Pittsburgh.
I know.
And he's one of the richest owners.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I think that he would be more open to it.
What about San Fran?
Well, we know Jimmy's not going to be the quarterback, but obviously Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, in a weird way, they're like some of the few people that can get away with fucking going 6-11. Like, they can get away with it for whatever reason.
Well,
because Kyle Shanahan will get hired immediately by anyone else. I believe this just because of what we saw. Because Kyle Shanahan, think about it, Washington and Houston, when he got to Atlanta, you got to see what he could do with when you have top level players at the positions that he needs them. You saw, bro, he made Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman's careers too. And Matt Ryan, I mean, he didn't make Matt Ryan's career, but Matt Ryan had his greatest season. Julio Jones, in his first year under Shanahan, had his best season. So, like, Shanahan is the best play caller in the NFL when you give him what he needs. Give him, yes, he can cook with some bullshit, but if you give him that whole food shit, he gonna make a mean meal.
You remember I was calling for Shanahan's job last year?
I don't know why.
The win. I mean, his record was terrible.
A lot of that is because remember who he took the job over. It was Chip Kelly that went 2-14 one year, and then Tom Sewell went 1-15. I mean, he took over a bad team.
Yeah,
so it took 2 years for them to build it. But and Jimmy G when they did trade for Jimmy G. Remember, he got hurt that first year. And then the next year they went to the Super Bowl. So, like, I mean,
look here. You know, sometimes you feel some of that 4-letter network in you, and you kind of just try to spew out something that supports an argument because you go, well, his winning percentage is low, and you don't contextualize it. But what about TB12 in San Fran to call it a day? Huh?
Oh, you think he goes there? I mean, so Trey Lance just gonna back up another year? I mean, that would mean that they mortgage so much to get a dude, and he's not even gonna play his first 3 years. I don't see that happening.
Tom Brady's gonna be a free agent next year, and if they come up short in the playoffs, that team is too close. If Trey Lance isn't good,
you want to know who to watch out for?
Are they a team that we haven't gotten to yet?
No, you haven't gotten to them.
Who?
The Giants.
He has a relationship with Dayball. They are
New York.
He could probably get Galladay back going. His oldest son is in New York.
They could get well, and then it's New York City.
Yes.
They could
buy him a new model.
They could get the Giants seem like a team that's not bad in the cap. I guess I'd have to look it up. They seem like they would have some money, possibly, especially if they could move off Galladay. Galladay's in like year 3 of that contract. They probably could move off of him now. But it seems like with Saquon, clearly the O-line's, at least the run O-line is doing well. I could see New York. Dayball, I mean, I could see the Giants, but go ahead.
Kenny Galladay next year is cap hit $21 million, $14.7 million in dead cap. He'll be back.
Okay. Well, he'll squeeze the most juice out of that, though.
Arizona. Coach is gone, and honestly,
I think that they try and figure out if they can get a partner for Kyle. Unless the coach that they hire specifically says, I want Kyler. Similar to how when Cliff got there, he wanted Kyler.
Jacksonville, I think everyone's safe in Jacksonville. Miami, I think everyone's safe in Miami. Seattle will be interesting.
I think they pay Geno.
But they also have
to
draft
pay him something ridiculous, but I think he gets a deal similar to what Jimmy G's going to get or a little less than what Jimmy G's going to get.
And Tampa, I think Tom's out of there, and I think Bowles gets one more year, and then they kind of get rid of Bowles and Leftwich. They just start brand new. They go scorched earth in 2 years.
They're in Cap Hill.
Hey, so it's rivalry week. Whoa. Rivalry week.
Rivalry week.
You know what? I'm just gonna take a drink because I can't say rivalry week.
Oh.
Rivalry week.
Rivalry week. Rivalry week. Rivalry week.
That's a tongue twister.
Rivalry week.
Retro.
Rivalry week. Yeah, take a shot to that.
First one all pod.
I got my piggy back over here.
I got some pre-made old fashioned.
Really?
Yeah, Bullet. It's good shit. I mean, it does not taste better than an old fashioned at an upscale bar by an experienced bartender.
Well, and naturally it wouldn't be. But no, rivalry week. See, you got me twisted.
So I think this week sucks for us because Georgia Tech is an impotent program and they need to hire Coach Prime. So that's kind of that. We got Ole Miss, Mississippi.
Hey, well, one more thing to say about that. Listening to 929, they had spoke about that, and a lot of people don't think that that's a rivalry. And when they say it, they mean it's not like a hate week for like Michigan, Ohio State, right? It's not. We know it's not among that type of rivalry, but at the same time, basically, when you look at it, the dynamic of the rivalry, it's a lot of more passive aggressive than anything.
Let me tell you what it is.
In a sense of the shit that they talk about, it's like people that go to Tech are totally different from people that go to Georgia.
True, but let me tell you where what kind of rivalry it is, right? I went to Cass High School in Cartersville, Georgia. Our rival is Cartersville High School. They blow the doors off of Cass damn near every year. Luckily, my sophomore year, we didn't win a game. We did beat them. But we were not as much of a rivalry to them as they were to us. Because they're like, we don't plan to beat y'all. We watch film and we beat the shit out of y'all.
Basically, quit scheduling us for homecoming.
Well, we didn't do that. We knew better. But that's the type of rivalry it is. And if you look around the state, man, you don't see a lot of house divided UGA, Georgia Tech, right? UGA is a great public school, but the type of people who are attracted to the SEC academically typically are not the same people attracted to Georgia Tech, which is one of the reasons why Georgia Tech is where it is. They much more stricter than Notre Dame. Value their academics more so than their athletics.
Now, they're practically an Ivy League school.
Hey, so let's look at some of these and let's see if we give a damn about any of them. Mississippi State, Ole Miss.
Lane's final game. He'll be in Auburn on Saturday after tomorrow.
Texas, Baylor.
Rather. Gosh, I didn't realize that was their rival. I mean, I guess because they're close. Austin's about an hour and a half from Waco. You know, my dad's from Waco. So, like, I don't think much of it. I think Texas is going to win, but go ahead. UCLA,
Cal, no one cares.
Yeah.
Florida State, 8-3 Florida State, number 16, going against the 6-5 AR-15s, who was top.
Norville is the coach, right, at Florida State? Yep. This will do wonders for him if they blow doors on them. Because it'll be one of those Florida State's a bubbling team to where next year we need to actually pay attention.
South Carolina versus Clemson.
honestly going to be the most interesting game based on how well South Carolina played last week, if that momentum continues. Because South Carolina did the same exact thing last year in terms of momentum. They literally carried momentum. And I even thought South Carolina, once they got it, I was like, well, they're going to be a lot better. But obviously, kind of been a disappointing season. But the Tennessee win at least made everybody feel good. And Clemson's not that good, and that spread is 14.5, which we'll get to it. But I think it's going to be an interesting game.
Cadillac Williams versus Nick Saban.
Go ahead.
Here's the one I care about.
USC Notre Dame.
You're fucking right. Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman. My gosh. Huh?
Well, second game of the week. I mean, Michigan, Ohio State is game.
Yeah, Michigan, that goes without saying. I was going to come back up to that one. We got USC Notre Dame. I really need Notre Dame to beat USC. I don't care how you beat them. I just need
why? Because you don't want to see Georgia blow them out down the street from me.
No, I
that's
don't
what
want.
Would be. And they'd play Georgia here, and Georgia would beat them just like they beat Oregon.
I don't want to watch Georgia beat USC 35-14.
But we want to see Caleb Williams against a real defense too. I mean, we need to see this. We need to know if he's going to be the top pick next year or not.
Let me see it in the New Year's Six Bowl. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it here. Let me see it against Bama.
You want to see USC play Alabama?
Yeah, let me see it. Watch them play Alabama. The top two out. I'm sorry, USC. I don't think you belong. I do not think you belong. You are Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison, and a hell of a play caller. You do not belong. Put it on your billboard link. But the game of the week is Michigan, Ohio State.
Absolutely.
Ohio State's practicing.
And they call it the game for a reason.
Ohio State's practicing in Michigan helmets. Michigan's coming to the shoe. They beat Ohio State for the first time since most of the guys who play at Michigan hit puberty. And they're trying to go back to back and win in the shoe for the first time since before those kids were born.
Right.
I don't know what that running game is going to look like for Michigan because of the injuries to their top two running backs. And J.J. McCarthy is going to have to score points because I'll tell you what, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to get the ball.
He always does, doesn't he?
Yeah, yes. Some have said that the Ohio State offense has become very one-dimensional and very reliant on Marvin Harrison Jr. Others would say that the Big Ten is an overrated conference. They're just top-heavy, but the conference at large, not that great. And Ohio State and Michigan have beat up on lower level competition, and now we get to finally see what they're made of. I wouldn't say that, but some would say that.
This is what I think. I think that they're going to take to heart what happened last season. And last season, what did we see? We saw Michigan physically
bludgeon them
that game. And I remember last year, funny enough, the spread was 8. And I loved Michigan at 8 because I was like, man, if Jim Harbaugh can't do it this year, when's he going to do it? It's kind of what my thinking was. So he got over that hump.
Well, if he didn't do it last year, he would have been coaching the Vikings this year.
Well, funny enough, when we were just speaking about that, I was thinking when you said Denver, I don't know what something makes me think that the Broncos could hire Jim Harbaugh. But considering, I don't know, he's familiar with Russ. I don't know. I think that would actually, as weird as it sounds, I think that'd be a great fit. Yeah, because Jim Harbaugh didn't man the defense for the 49ers. He's just the coach. And he's a winner in the NFL based on everything last time I checked. He's a winner in the NFL too. He would be a great fit for Denver.
And
I think he'd be a great fit.
And you know what else he would do for Russ?
What?
He would tell Russ to shut the hell up.
Yes, because in a weird way, Jim Harbaugh is kind of the face of teams.
Yeah.
He said, hey. Well, think
like, we're riding these khaki pants and don't get any abortions because I'm Catholic and we'll take care of the kids for you.
Well, Russ is with them on that. We know that. So,
well, yeah. Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
Hope that doesn't
I think.
offend you.
Don't you think that would honestly be like a great fit?
No, I
Seriously.
think it would be a great fit because I think that
They would
Russ
win 10
needs.
games next year.
I think Russ needs a coach that he respects, but a coach who also can put him in his place because
Which is
he.
kind of what Pete was. Or
Yes,
at
but
least early.
yeah, but Pete was a defensive coach, and Russ felt like Pete. From what I've consumed, Russ felt like Pete was holding him back. Where I think Pete would game plan against Russ, and then that's how he coached him. He goes, what would I want Russ to do if I'm coaching against him? And that's what we're gonna do the opposite, right? So
Right.
but yeah, we got that big game. And then after that, we'll really get into the college football playoff after to preview championship week. Because I listened to Joel Klatt, and I got to hit this real quick. I listened to Joel Klatt talk about the college football playoff has failed college football. And Joel Klatt, let me tell you that the college football playoff picks the champion correctly every single year. Now, if we want to argue about teams hanging out on the fringes, teams being a number 5 seed, a number 6 seed, or teams who are the number 8 team in the country and they feel like they don't get a fair shot, hey, go undefeated and win your conference. Win a Power 5 conference and go undefeated, guess what? You get to play for a championship. But if you want me to take in consideration your Colorado playing ass, one of the worst programs in this country, and you take that participation trophy perspective into this, we're talking about the Natty, man. We're talking about Saban. We're talking about Dabo. We're talking about Kirby. We're talking about excuse me, let me get a little caught up. We're talking about Urban Meyer, okay? We're talking about the best guys running the best programs and putting some of the best guys into the NFL, okay? And if your little cute Cincinnati team, which was loaded with pros, isn't good enough because you play you don't play a Power 5 schedule, or your USCs or your UCLAs don't get their proper respect, or even your TCUs don't get their proper respect because they're playing a college version of football that doesn't really translate to the NFL, and they're not playing against NFL competition. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that your school is not investing the proper money into making your program good enough. You're not hiring the right people to be good enough, or you're geographically fucked and the people just don't get bigger, faster, or strong enough to be the best of the best. I'm sorry, but it's not killing college football. Now, if you're speaking from a ratings point of view, because we don't incorporate the entire country, because you work for Fox and you just want to shit on what ESPN is doing because they run the college football playoff, just tell me that's what you're doing. Tell me that Fox's executives told you to call in the hit piece on ESPN because they don't give USC enough respect.
Right.
Because you won't go toe-to-toe with Paul Feinbaum saying that nonsense. Won't go toe-to-toe with Ryan Russillo saying that nonsense. You can get away with that on the West Coast, man. But these West Coast, yeah, all hell USC. Go fight, win, or whatever the hell they say out there. SC ain't shit. They're a quarterback and a receiver. The college football playoff works. And we're going to expand to 12 to expand revenue, have more games, make more teams feel like they're involved. But guess what? The best boys, the best young men are going to win. The best coaches are still going to win. The best recruiting classes outside of Texas A&M, because Jimbo don't know what he's doing down there apparently on offense, are going to win. Kirby is running a factory. Saban is running a factory. Dabo's down this year and he still might get in the playoff. These are factories. Just because Ford has a down quarter doesn't mean Ford ain't still Ford. I see F-150s every single day in Southwest Georgia.
Are you saying that because you've got one yourself?
No.
Okay.
I mean, should I see F-250s every day in Southwest Georgia?
Look, I think Ford makes a better. I'm a Chevy person, personally. GM, just in general. I like GM products a little bit more, but I think that Ford certainly has the better.
Just made a mess.
my older brother, he's got a F350 or something, but like
What is he hauling?
he does like contractor stuff, but it's a really nice truck. I mean, like it's a nice truck. I like the truck. Their trucks might be better than Silverados, but then again, my dad, I mean, when I grew up when I was a kid, my dad used to have a green Chevy Silverado that was his work truck. And, you know, I don't know. I come from a GM family. I mean, Escalade, like, you know, like we're GM people. And plus my uncle in Texas,
You're a V-dub. You're a V-dub person right now. Come back to America.
I am. I love Volts. Whoa, hold on now. Volts, first of all,
come back to America.
I think 2 Chainz said it best. All I drive is foreign. Right? Toyota Supra. Look, I'm a foreigner. No. But look, they all offer nice vehicles, obviously.
Come back to America. You ready for some picks? I just really had to yell at Joel Clapp. It pissed me off.
I am. Now, before we get into it, now I want to know NFL-wise.
Okay.
Because it's going to matter when you post it if I throw in Thanksgiving at all. That would mean that you probably put both of them up tonight.
So if you throw up Thanksgiving, I'll put it up tonight.
I'm trying to decide. I've got 4 NFL ones without Thanksgiving. My best picks would include probably one Thanksgiving pick. But, whoa, hold on. I see one that's a red flag. Hold on. We don't have to do Thanksgiving. I think I've got.
Bro, once she shows you that first red flag, choose you. Walk away.
I think even though, man, that Vikings-Patriots game.
As much as I want to say Patriots, Vikings, get that game. I want to say that. It's Kirk Cousins in primetime, short week, Bill Belichick. I'd stay away.
It makes a lot of sense to lean Patriots.
It does.
Here, I'll leave Thanksgiving out because that was the only one I was going to touch.
I'm going to bet that personally.
I think I got. Let me see.
Let me see if I can find a pen real quick.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. We don't no Thanksgiving, so we'll start college.
All right.
Oh, let me just take a picture of the NFL, and then we're all set. Okay. Pull it up.
Parlay Pete's CFB 6.
Rivalry week. There we go. See, that came out perfect. We're going to start off with the college football 6-pack here for the rivalry week, with the first game being Coastal Carolina at James Madison. I know, right? Interesting ass game. I actually touched the James Madison Georgia State game last week. Told you guys to take the over. That shit went way over. Interesting game here. I know that Grayson McCall is out for Coastal, but we're going to take Coastal plus 14.5 at James Madison. I just don't see how they cover 2 touchdowns against them in this game. Next game, we got Louisville at Kentucky. Louisville just became ranked, actually, it looks like this week because it says that they're number 25 on my slip. Kentucky also just lost to Georgia by 10. Give me Kentucky. Give me the SEC school at home with a favorable money line here. Next, we got Tulane at Cincinnati. I don't even think that this is a rivalry game. I think that this is just these are the 2 best teams in the AAC. So give me Cincinnati at home in a pick 'em. I like them more than give me Fickle's guys, who some of those guys were on that playoff team last year. So give me Fickle's guys and what is a pick 'em money line. Next, we got Arkansas at Missouri. The spread is 3. I'm going to buy a half a point, but we're going to take Arkansas at Missouri minus 2.5. I like them to get it done. They probably even just cover the 3, but like I said, to be safe, let's just take, the half, buy the half point. That way, if it is a field goal game, we win and we don't push. Next, we got South Carolina at Clemson, which we kind of hinted at earlier in the show. I'm going to go ahead and take Beamer Ball and the Rattlers plus 14.5. Clemson's been underwhelming all year. And granted, outside of the ACC championship game, which lost some luster because North Carolina lost to Georgia Tech, they kind of have to put up some style points against South Carolina. And I don't think that they're going to do it, to be completely honest. I think that South Carolina gets enough talent to make it within that 14.5. I don't think that Clemson covers. And then finally, the game. We got Michigan at Ohio State. I'm not even going to buy the point here. Let me get Ohio State minus 7.5. I think that they win by about 17 because Corum's status is up in the air. And just the reality of what happened to them last year, I think that they've been thinking about this all year. I really do. I think that they've been thinking about it since that game. And Ryan Day is not going to leave anything out of that playbook for this game. I promise you that he is going to go out there and try and run the scoreboard up. I really do think that that's exactly what he's going to do.
I mean, you saw the Bush League fake punted it against Rutgers. He's running the score up. So we got Coastal Carolina plus 14.5. We got Kentucky on the money line. We have Cincinnati on the money line. We have Arkansas minus 2.5. We're going to buy half a point there. We have South Carolina plus 14.5. And we have Ohio State Buckeyes minus 7.5.
The Ohio State.
Yeah, and send me my acceptance letter.
Did they?
No.
Oh, you're waiting on it.
Still waiting on it, yeah.
Okay. So it's still Boomer Sooner for now.
Nah, let's go Vols for now.
Oh, okay. So you'd rather do Tennessee?
Yeah, living in the South, better program. It's a better program and it's better geographically.
Oh, you would actually move?
No, it's online. I'm saying better geographically for jobs and companies.
Understood. Yeah, most people would be like, "Oh, you're Vol." Yeah.
They gave me a degree.
I matter of fact, it'll be a guy that'll be like, he's like go Vols. He's like, you remember Peyton? Like some shit, T. Martin.
Like, man, I'm a Georgia fan. Okay, let's talk David Green.
Right.
All right, let's get to your NFL 6-pack.
NFL 6. All right, so we've got a lot of good stuff, and we're gonna save the best for last. Which I try not to touch the Falcons, but we're gonna touch them. Anywho, we're gonna start off with the Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are 7-3, and they're quietly been one of the best teams in the NFL. They started 0-2, and they've won 7 of their last 8, and they're giving them plus odds. And they're coming off a semi-bye because they played Thursday, tough-fought game, all that momentum. I like the Titans, man, against the Bengals at plus odds. Give me the Titans on the money line. Next game, we got the Baltimore Ravens at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know what the hell this is, but the Jaguars are -4. I mean, the Ravens are -4. I like them to go in there and put foots in them. I mean, I really do. I don't know how they don't cover the 4. Give me the Ravens -4. Next, we got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Seattle Seahawks. They're coming off a bye, obviously, from Germany. And the Raiders, I think, are getting back I was about to say Ladd McConkey. I hope that the Falcons draft him. He'd be somebody really good to get. But Hunter Renfrow. Plucky white receivers that are ballers. They can ball. Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, Julian, these guys started a trend. Shout outs to Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. But fuck Tom. But I like the Las Vegas Raiders at the Seattle Seahawks as dogs as well. I really do think that they are so much more talented than what their record shows. And Seattle, as great of a story as it is, this is still a team that everybody projected to be a top 5 pick. And I think that they will finish about 8-9, possibly 9-8. But I like the Raiders to get this one plus odds. So give me the Raiders on the money line. Next, we got Broncos country. Let's ride at the Carolina Panthers. Similarly, just like we did last week when I saw the Patriots and Jets over under at 38, and I was like, man, it's really low, but I like the under. I was absolutely correct on it. And I think the same thing with this game this week. Denver at Carolina's over under is 36. We're going to ride with the under. The Broncos haven't shown me anything to where they're going to put up 20 points. And Sam Darnold is the starting quarterback for the Panthers this week. So we're going to take the under because that's the easiest bet to take. I don't think that there's going to be 1, maybe 2 touchdowns scored in this game, and I hope that Deontay Foreman is the one that gets it for me. But we'll take the under at under 36. Next, We'll get the Monday Night Football. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Indianapolis Colts. Give me my man Matt Ryan. We would have been 2-0 the past 2 weeks betting on Matt on the spread because they did cover against the Eagles. And if I knew that he was starting, I would have definitely taken them against the Raiders. We're going to ride that momentum, but this week we're just going to take them on the money line on Monday night. I think that Matt puts up a vintage performance against the Steelers. And I think Jeff Saturday starts to get, the critics off his back, or really Jim Irsay is the one who would have the critics. I don't think Jeff really gets the critics. I think it's Jim Irsay. I think that they get off his back. Give me the Colts on the money line. And then finally, the Falcons have come back to 500, but we're going to take them on the points because it makes way more sense. So give me the Falcons plus 4.5 at the Washington Commanders because I definitely think that we cover the spread, and I really hope that they do win. But if from a betting perspective, I like the Falcons plus 4.5.
All right, so we got the Titans on the money line. We have the Ravens -4. We have the Raiders on the money line. We have Denver and Carolina going under 36. We have Indy on the money line, and we have the Falcons against the Cock Commanders plus 4.5.
Yep, and by the way, we went 4-2 in both the NFL and in college last week. So overall, the past 2 weeks, what's that? 9-3. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's been good. Been good 2 weeks. Been a good 2 weeks. Yep. This season's
you went 2-1 in both, right?
Yeah. This season's been so funky though that it was hard to pinpoint stuff early in the year.
All the pretenders, the Rams, the Packers, there's been obviously the Falcons got out the gate and played a lot better than we thought. Seattle, teams like that have really Jets, teams like this have fucked it up a little bit for everybody. So I mean, but that's a part of betting. The books are making it harder. They really are. Yeah. This has been the hardest year of betting for me by far. Overall for the year, I'm in the negative. For the year, I'm in the negative. It's been tough. This has been hard. And every other year, the last 3 or 4 years, I've been in the positive. But this year, I've definitely lost more than I've won.
It's been a tough year, but, that's why you do it for a long time so you can regress back.
It's a part of it. I'll have a good week. Look, you can lose a parlay by one game. This shit happens.
Yeah, trust me. I know it feels like lose a parlay by one game when you turn Chicago off against Detroit.
I took Detroit money line that week too.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to these 3, man. I got 3 for y'all. And I almost bet on the kids. I'm scared of the college kids. I almost did. That South Carolina plus 14.5 looks very tasty to me. But then as I went through the NFL 6-pack, I said, I see bets I like more. So give me that. Give me that Titans money line. I like Vrabel to muddy it up and make Joe Burrow have to make a play. And we're not sure if Joe Mixon's going to be there.
By the way, this is a rematch last year of when they played in the playoffs in a game that I thought that the Bengals were going to win. But I think that they're going to remember that too in this game. This is a playoff rematch. And I think that they're going to get real physical with them. And Cincinnati is a finesse team. Don't get it twisted. They're a finesse team. The Titans are not. I like at home at plus money. Obviously I'm with you.
Baltimore -4.
Don't
like
get it.
I love it.
Don't get it. This is a team that's been up, I think, in almost every game, almost double digits at halftime.
And I get Baltimore has not looked as spectacular as we would like for them to, but it's Jacksonville. I think they dog walk them. And then finally,
they're both coming off buys too, by the way.
That Denver and Carolina under 36. I like Denver's defense. I don't like Carolina's offense. I don't like I don't like Denver's offense. So I don't know where the points come from.
Me neither. It just smells like 17-10. At most.
Yeah,
that's 3 touchdowns. We're talking this could be one of those field goal type games where it's like, let's see, 9. Let's see, 16-9. You know what I mean? This is one of those.
Could be a good old fashioned slobber knocker.
Yeah.
All right, those are the picks, man.
Lee's three. I forgot to start up.
It's all good.
We really do need to get game plan the next time. You need to get up here in the afternoon if you can, so we can really. I mean, because at night, we're getting, and I know
we're getting drunk.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we're gonna get drunk. Yeah. So, yeah, we need to do that. Hey, what's that battery percentage looking like?
10%, literally on the head.
All right. So before we go, I got one last thing for you.
Let's go for it.
That boy Anthony Davis has turned back into Anthony Davis. I don't even want to call the man street clothes no more. These last 4 games, 5 games.
Honor clothes? I mean, those are all what street clothes are, but like.
I mean, he's looking more like LeBron, and LeBron's looking more like street clothes posting his fits while he's not playing. You know what I mean? It's like they did a little role reversal.
That
like little Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd.
Don't look too much into it. What is the Lakers' record in that span? Probably 2-3.
They are 3-3 without LeBron. They were 2-8 with him.
And how many of those games is street clothes not playing? Probably 4 or 5, and they probably lost all of them.
Hey, street clothes Lakers MVP is what I'm saying.
He's certainly going to find himself in the All-Star game, which will be so funny because we're going to get 2 Lakers in the All-Star game, and they're going to be 10 games below 500 in February.
Oh, and the Bill Simmons are going to be pissed.
Turn around, they'll be like 5 or 6 games below 500.
So, do you think he's building up to get the Lakers a haul, or do the Lakers go 10 toes in with the roster and Russ is playing a lot better off the bench and insert LeBron back in, and they may actually have something that is going to win some basketball games and get them into playoff contention?
I think that if the 10 games below 500 thing is accurate, I think that both Russ and AD are gone. And that especially if LeBron's already like kind of injured or whatever, they just shut him down. No, they won't shut him down because they want him to break the record this year.
If you're like me, I don't know what the Lakers do.
Me neither.
Anthony Davis playing this well, you go, well, I don't know if I shop him now because if LeBron comes back with a pulse, we're cooking with grease here maybe.
But if the Hawks give you everything that you want, minus Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, and let's say the Hawks are the 3rd seed in the East by that time, I think the Hawks do everything they should do everything they can to make it work, even if it means that for the next 10 years you have no picks. Because you already gave like 3 of them to the Spurs in like a pick swap. And then, obviously John Collins is gone and Yeka Kongu's gone. Bogdanovich is gone.
Call it in.
Yeah, you're probably giving them the guy out of Duke for sure.
AJ Griffin, that hurts.
Yeah, I'd probably give you everything you want if I'm Atlanta. Or Memphis would probably be really another really attractive trade destination because – they would say, we'll give you Bane. We'll give you Bane, and we'll give you – we're going to give you a few different guys and all of our picks to put Ja with AD.
Call it in. All right, one quick hitter. Aaron Rodgers says that he's been playing with a broken thumb since week 5. Hasn't considered surgery. And I don't know if you saw that the Michigan State players, it came out they're going to get charged, 2 with felonies for the incident that happened after the Michigan game. We didn't cover it here. I thought it was unfortunate. I thought it was sad what happened. I really hoped that law officials wouldn't have gotten into that because I understand what it's like to be in that age range, competitive vibes, and the guy from the other teams in your locker room talking shit. I see how that can go. But at the end of the day, where we have cameras, we have a more advanced society, that type of behavior is not acceptable.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I don't think that it was called for, and I get how it could have happened, but it wasn't called for. And at the end of the day, who knows? We'll see what the Michigan judge feels about it once it gets to court. But at the end of the day, they got to live with that. So,
and hey, Michigan.
If they need an attorney, I've got a good one though.
Hey, Michigan, get another tunnel, dog. Stop having people coming out of the same tunnel. It's 2020.
Right.
Catch up to the times. I'm
Yep.
not going to blame the tunnel because people should be responsible, but get a new tunnel, dog.
I'm with
Hey,
you.
all right, man. Parlay Pete, man. Have a great Thanksgiving. Look forward to seeing you in a week.
We'll see you then, man. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody listening.
All right, dog.
All right, brother. Take care.